So the Leadership Consortium owes its name and its origin from the fact that a consortium is in essence a grouping and a collective of ideas and thoughts. And it's embedded in the fact that leadership per se is not normally in the hands of one person. It should be a collective, it should involve different perspectives, it should involve a broad spectrum of what is possible from the leadership perspective. The Zenger-Folkman family of colleagues around the world represent a broad group of people who are playing in the leadership space. And our Australian colleagues, Terry Reynolds and Glenn Price, have done a magnificent job in putting together a set of podcasts that address the questions and the recipes within the Zenger-Folkman methodology. These podcasts represent step-by-step, short, bite-sized, normally about 3 to 4 minutes, ideas, concepts, and tips and tricks as to how we can build our extraordinary leadership. So our invitation is to enjoy these podcasts, squeeze as much value as you can out of them, and make it part of building your leadership stepway to extraordinary. The 16th podcast deals with this concept of fixing fatal flaws. The Zenger-Folkman methodology highlights the fact that by using positive psychology, we build on leadership strengths. However, whilst it may be true that by focusing on our strengths, we can become extraordinary, this is not possible should we unfortunately have what we call a potential fatal flaw. A potential fatal flaw is when any one particular skill ranks in the percentile that is in the bottom or less than the 10th percentile typically. We know from our research that unless this fatal flaw is really addressed, it holds back the potential to work on our leadership strengths. It is therefore critically important that the ability for us to firstly remedy any potential fatal flaws allows us to unleash our ability to build on our strengths and take us into that new level of leadership.
Welcome to the Leadership Digital podcast series with Glenn Price and Terry Reynolds.
Magnifying strengths to the fullest has been one of the main messages so far. In the process, we have implied that weakness should never be the focus of a personal development plan. However, in many cases, focusing on weakness is absolutely what needs to be done. As we have already observed, people challenged to improve their leadership effectiveness has amazingly similar plan for improvement. 1, they assess areas of strength and weakness. Simply being really good or even moderately good at something means you don't have to worry about it. Immediately scrutinises your low scores. 2, decide which weakness is most significant, usually because it is the lowest score. And 3, develop a plan of action to address the weakness. In fact, in some areas, working on weakness is absolutely the best approach for improvement. If a fatal flaw is not corrected, it will act as a drag on the overall perception of your leadership effectiveness. We believe that even one extremely low score will produce a negative halo effect. Frederick was the director of research for an international pharmaceutical company. A brilliant chemist, he towered over others in his grasp of the technical aspects of the research process. But his personal manner was curt and abrupt. He cut people off in meetings. He rejected suggestions or ideas for procedures that were not his own. The other department heads felt that he failed to listen to their input. So, after extensive feedback, Frederick began to change the way he treated others. Making changes in this one specific arena caused his overall effectiveness to escalate. The conclusion? If you have a fatal flaw, you need to fix it. An analysis of our data reveals 5 patterns of behaviour that consistently lead to a failure in leadership. Possessing one or more of these virtually makes it impossible for a person to be perceived as an effective leader. 1, inability to learn from mistakes. 2, lack of relationship building skills. 3, lack of openness to new ideas. 4, lack of accountability. And 5, lack of initiative. The next 5 lessons examine each of these fatal flaws and what must be done to fix them. So to combat a fatal flaw, key things to remember. First, reflect on your experience. What have you learnt from your past events? Specifically, what did you learn from things that did not go well? What would you have done differently? What will prevent the same thing happening again and again? 2, assess whether you have a fatal flaw. Get feedback, ask for it. Participate in a developmental survey to get good overviews of any weaknesses that might be there. Are any of your low scores on that list? And 3, make a specific plan. After listening to the following 5 lessons, you'll have a better idea of exactly how to remedy fatal flaws. And remember, Confucius once said, "The real fault is to have faults and not try to mend them."
It's a pleasure to be able to share these thoughts and ideas with you and hopefully be part of allowing you to adopt a journey where extraordinary leadership is an opportunity and a growth area for you and your teams.